So my idea began with reading All the King's Men in 10th grade, and since it was my favorite book I've read at ACA, I really wanted to find a way to incorporate it in my thesis. So I read it again, hoping to find a theme that really jumped out at me, and I started noticing the theme of the past and how Robert Pinwarren, the author, dealt with the past. So the main character is Jack Burden, and he has a really unique way of dealing with the past in that he looks at it to clarify who he is in moments of doubt. We also see this with his relationship with Anne Stanton, and even though they remain friends as adults, he still holds on to this image of her as a child, and he refuses to let go of this. So because he chooses to live in the past, he almost is unable to engage in a relationship with her in the present. So I started with this idea of the past, but I wanted to relate it more specifically with another important idea, so I started thinking about the South. And so I read from Southern writers such as Faulkner and Flannery O'Connor to help me explore this idea. So the problem I was dealing with was that although the past is universal to all Southerners, I wanted to see how some people were able to view the past so differently from one another and what the result of this was. And the question I was asking was, what occurs when people have different views and interpretations of the past? And an extension of this question was, what is the correct view of the past, if there is one? So I looked to Flannery O'Connor, like I said, and because we had read her in school, I knew that a lot of her stories dealt with the changing South and the conflicts that arose because of this. And she talked a lot about older and younger generations, and because these older generations were raised a certain way and they were raised to think a certain thing, and then these younger generations were being exposed to modern ideas, they just weren't able to get along with one another. There was an inherent tension between these two groups. And then, like I said, I also read from Faulkner, and I read his books, The Sound and the Fury and Absalom. And I chose to read from him because many of his works are characterized by this idea of time and the past. And so The Sound and the Fury really helped me to develop my argument because each of the characters, they were members of a family, but they each had such different views of the past and had such different relationships with time. And because of this, it was obvious by the end of the novel that they just weren't able to operate as a single family. So what I found interesting throughout all of this was that there is a Southern identity that derived from the Civil War and other world wars and other events that characterized the Southern past. But in spite of this, and people were still able to view the past in such different ways, and it didn't serve to unite people, but instead it served to divide people. So I came to the conclusion that without the right view of the past, you were unable to view people as people. And we see this with Flannery O'Connor and the parents and the children that weren't able to get along because they had such different views of the past. And then we also see this in The Sound of the Fury because these family members were not able to act as a family because they had such different relationships with the past and with time. And lastly, we see this in All the King's Men with Jack and Anne because originally they weren't able to engage in a relationship because while Jack was living in the past, Anne was looking to the future and she wanted to live well in the world in the present. So in conclusion, I came to the result that without the right view of the past, you're unable to view other people as people. And I also had to explore the idea of what the correct view of the past was, and I came to define that as a connection existing between the past and the future. And what I mean by this is having an appreciation for the past alongside a hope for the future, which I think when you have both of these things, you have the correct view of the past. So that is my thesis. Thank you.